Yo, JD here, Tyrolers, and as you can see, we are back on F1 2020 as always, and this is something in this video that I haven't done for quite a while, since the last game in fact, and I severely missed. This is me trying to break some world records around certain tracks, and you've guessed it, we are going to do it in the classic cars, Ferrari 2004. Main reason why I do that is really because I don't really enjoy driving the modern cars in a time trial, especially with this glitch going on, which I don't know if a lot of people have seen it, but basically if you just do an instant replay or flashback and then just keep on pressing X, you will just keep on gaining time. If you do it around the whole lap, you gain like 5-10 seconds or something like that. So it's very uncertain what a good time actually is, but classic cars, I don't think really many people have bothered too much to do it within the classic cars itself, and why not start a spa with the Ferrari perfect combo. And this is my camera settings. A lot of people have been asking me for that, and this is my force feedback settings, which again, the force feedback settings, no, if you tried this, and I used the V3 pedals, but if you tried these settings, they probably wouldn't work for you because you don't have the same wheelbase. But for me, the way my force feedback feels is that if I drive with one hand, it's going to be quite difficult to drive. So, you know, it's probably on the lighter side of force feedback, but still a decent feeling within it. But yes, we're in a Ferrari, round Spa, perfect combo, and I haven't driven this car whatsoever on this game. So this is the very first corner that I have ever done in here, and almost losing it straight away. And yeah, last game, I absolutely loved this car. This is probably one of my favourite cars of last game. Did so many tracks and got so many records with this car. And it was actually quite often faster than the modern cars, which I don't know if it's realistic or not. I have no idea, but it had insane straight line speed and it had insane cornering as well. And you can see now, this was without a setup like I always do. So whenever I do these videos, I'm going to start off with just using nothing, just a stock version of everything. But yeah, as I was saying, on last game, it was often quicker than the modern cars. And I think the world record around here in the modern cars is a very low 40, I'm going to imagine, or maybe even a 39. I'm not sure, I haven't looked, but the current world record in this car for the classics is by FRA Ron Ha, who is a very, very quick driver in time trial. I know he's very, very good. Is 42.6, so that is quite a way off the modern cars. But coming through here, through the first lap, so far, so good. But coming off the track here, we do the inevitable track invalidation for the first lap, and I promise you that is not me doing that on purpose. I never try and do it on purpose. This is just me just trying to get used to the car, and so far I think they've really changed this car. This car, as I said before, used to be quite OP in last game, whereas now I think because of the times that it was setting in TT and it was often quicker than the modern cars, I think they really kind of changed how it feels. Because for me, I know with no setup it normally feels pretty awful, but it feels especially awful at the moment. It just feels like it has no acceleration and just no downforce whatsoever as we get another invalidation. Because with the stock setup, going for that corner is actually pretty difficult. So yeah, at the moment it feels like a complete cargo ship going through here. You can just see the chronic understeer that we have going through here, and I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but if it's got a turbo lag or something, because when you go on the throttle, you always have to anticipate of how the car's going to react, because it takes a while for the full feeling of the throttle to really kick in. It's like a bit of a delay and lag in the throttle, and that makes it very, very hard to catch the car when you lose it, because once it goes up into the revs, the high rev range, the rear end can just snap out of place so quickly. So yeah, at the moment it feels incredibly understeery and just not very nice to drive whatsoever. But before I ever put on the setup, this is what I always do in TT, so for these videos it's not really to just entertain, but it's always to try and showcase of how I approach a track, even when I do a practice for an actual league race or something as well. Like sometimes I will just go around in the stock in a GP mode, try and set a competitive time with it, where it's about a second off or something, because that gives me the confidence, because I know I'll probably gain about a second with a setup straight away. And that's exactly what I do here as well. So I'm trying to set a valid time, so not an invalidated time, but a valid time. And I think this is the start of my best lap with the sock setup. You can see it was sliding out through here. You cannot get away with running 50 brake bias. You're gonna have to run quite high, because there's just too much extra rotation in this car. It's just like a pendulum. Just the back end just wants to meet the front at all times, and yeah, this is really, really tough to control. This is definitely harder to control than it was on the previous game, that's for sure. So going through the first sector, a fairly tidy couple stabs at the wheel, and going into this downhill right-hander, very, very difficult, very easy to lock up. Going out wide, but going into third gear, very easy to use the car. Going into fourth gear once I hit the curb, and managed to do that quite nicely actually with a default setup. Going into one of the best corners on the game, but you can see the understeer, and we didn't really quite hook that up, so that wasn't really perfect. Lost a good temp or so through there. Going down to third gear for that little extra bite. Try and hook your car a bit more on the inside of that curb, because it will kind of acts like a scale electric, so it really just grips your car around. Completely flat out through here, avoiding the curb on the exit. Try and avoid the curbs when you're driving on a flat out straight, because it will slow you down. Changing my brake bias to 57, just so I have a little bit of better stopping power and it doesn't over rotate upon braking. Going into the 100-meter board, being very, very cautious, taking a nice wide line into here, trying to get a good exit, and a pretty decent exit. Going across the line, it's a 45.0, which I was quite content with. And you can see that's only 110th on the leaderboard, so quite a way away still from what we're looking for. 2.4 seconds away, and you can see everyone else has got a setup or running assists. We are running no assists. There's only one guy, Daniel Kneeling, if I can read that right, has beaten me there. I think the max I could probably do on a perfect lap would probably be like a 44.5 or something like that, maybe, but yeah, I was quite happy with that. So I'm going to move on to downloading the number one setup, which is a very interesting setup. Weight distribution on 11, which I think you need to be running on this car if you want to get the maximum out of it. So now this is going to be my first lap with his setup, and something I said in the past and so many times, don't expect to be competitive when you use someone's setup. No, if I gave people my well, not mine, but if you download someone's world record, so you can see the delta, how much we're gaining already with the setup. So much quicker in a straight line, and it's going to be so much quicker around the corners as well. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that if you download someone's setup, or if you use my league racing setup, or if you use an F1 esports setup, no, don't presume that you're going to be straight on the pace, because quite often setups that are very, very quick of a lap are extremely hard to use. No, they're not easy to use, and that's the only way you can get the most out of the game. You need a car that is on the edge, but you just need to be smooth enough and obviously have the skills and experience to wrestle through that. Because if you use a car that's understeery, yes, it'll be easier to drive, but especially over a qualifying lap, you're not going to be able to hit that performance. It's the way I describe it is if you did an exam, like in GCSEs or A-levels, you have a foundation paper or a higher paper. The foundation paper, it's easier to get the full marks, but you can't get an A star. Whereas the harder paper, the higher paper, it's, you have the ability to get an A star, and you don't need to really score that well to get a fairly decent time, but it's harder to get it, if that makes any sense. And that might be the worst analogy of all time, but that's the way I kind of think of setups. You've got to make it that way, but that's only really for qualifying, like TT and stuff. Because for league racing, I do tend to tailor my car to be much more manageable in a race. So it's not super understeery, but definitely a car that has good traction, good tyre wear, and it's just very good to be consistent with. But this year as well, I have still made it to try and be competitive in qualifying, because with the ERS and DRS, it's so crucial that you have track position. But you definitely don't want a car that's uncontrollable, and TT setups don't really particularly work too well if you download the top time setup. You can see here so far, this is my first valid lap that I've done with his setup, FRA Ron here, and we do a 43.3, so a big improvement, a 1.7 improvement already, and that's put me into P6 already. And the lap didn't feel particularly great by any stretch or means, so I'm going to go back in, or I'm actually going to restart the lap and go again. And you'll probably see a lot of footage of this at all times. And in these videos, again, I really want to try and help people improve. And you can see we've got a lot of extra rotation going through the car here. But I think it's really important in learning a track and just being better at the game is to try and complete as many laps as possible, because it just allows you to get into that rhythm. It really does allow you to get into that rhythm, because if you just keep on restarting after turn 1 every time, if you just don't get a good exit, then once you do get past turn 1 and you get to sector 2 and 3, your muscle memory is not really built into it yet. You need to just keep up that rhythm and really build that up over time. So I'm going for another lap here, and you can see we've got quite a big improvement already. So over 2 tenths going into or coming out of the first sector. So this is a very, very nice sector so far, and you can see you can gain so much time in this car. This car, just with the small details and just a little bit more smoothness, a little bit better throttle application and everything, you can gain so much time. You can see over 3 tenths up now, so we're not even too far away. Going to here, keeping it in 4th gear just to keep the rear stable, hooking up on the inside like I've spoken about before. At this corner, we want to be turning in early. I think that was a bit late, so I missed the apex that time, but we still have gained some time on the exit. So, and this is the thing as well, if you're doing lap after lap, I always visualize, always have the feeling I know where I could have turned in slightly earlier, slightly later, broke later, accelerated earlier. You just build up that mental map in your head, and that is just so important. And that's why I recommend just continuing as much as you can. And going across the line, it's a 43.0 now, so we're getting very close. Top 3 on the leaderboard now. You can see FRA Ron here's first sector is a good 2 tenths faster than mine, so we still have some time to find. So we have about 3 and a bit tenths. So I decided to go into the setup, change it around a little bit, and this is what I said before. Don't always expect a setup that has set them one time to be good for you, and his setup didn't really feel that great for me. I wanted a little bit more rotation in the low speed, I think. Yeah, I think I did, if I can remember back right, or it might have been the high speed in fact, and just a little bit better straight line speed, because I felt like I already had some good traction and good momentum through the corners. I felt like I really needed to gain it in the first sector, and you can see coming through here, after that change we made a 42.9 relatively quickly, and going on for another lap, you can see quite a bit up, lost a bit of time in this last sector, and now it's a 42.8. And this is what you'll find both in TT and online. You'll find once you hit a certain lap threshold or a certain lap time, you'll just see that you'll just be able to hit that all the time. It's just that this mental block, and now we've done a 42.6 quite quickly with the setup, and that is only a few thousandths away from the best time. And I knew I could make up a lot of time in the chicane. You can see we've almost made up a 10th just on the exit here, and now we're doing consistent 42.6s. So yeah, once you get into the rhythm, you'll find you'll keep hitting the same lap time lap after lap, kind of like how I was at Zandvoort. recently in league racing, where I keep doing 1s and 2s all the time. And this is also something I recommend in TT, is to reset your game. Just quit out and then hit the restart button, because apparently there is a glitch where if you do over like 10 laps, you start to generate a little bit of tyre wear. And I always find when I restart, I don't know if it's placebo, but I always just go much quicker. So yeah, definitely restart now and again after 10 or so laps. So getting a good exit up here. You can see, like I said before, no, we're 700 down on our time, but I'm still going to continue. Because I know in the last chicane I can make up almost a full 10th going through there. And a lot of people will probably just restart at this point, but no, you need to keep that momentum going. It's so important that you keep this rhythm. And when you're doing league races and GP mode and everything as well, just to have a delta to go against and always see where you can gain time and where you're losing time. Like, see here, like I've gained time on the entry, but now I've lost it. Now I'm gaining it on the exit again, almost going green. And let's see what I do on the exit of here, looking at that delta. See, now I know that I can gain some time on the exit of that corner, whereas if I restarted, I would never have known. I can gain a lot more time, and now I've gone green, so I knew there that I could definitely gain some time through there. And going through this corner, you can see again, gaining a bit more time in the delta, hooking it on the inside pretty nicely, and we're over half a tenth up now, turning earlier like I did before, and lost a little bit of time here, but since I completed previous laps, I knew going into this last chicane that we could definitely gain a lot of time. So we're still only a few thousand, I think like 6 thousandths away from the world record, so we're on track to beat this world record. So going into this bus stop chicane, let's see how we do it. Taking a bit cautious on the entry, but thinking about getting the Bella exit. And let's see what we do here. And we get the time of a 42.649. And that is enough for the #1 time. But I wasn't done with this yet. I knew there was a lot more time. So now this is going to be a very nice lap. So crossing the line, we did a 42.6 again. So again, once you hit the lap times, you're very consistent. Going into here, braking very late, first gear, second gear, moving over to the right to get some good traction, and we've actually gone green coming off this corner. Now going through Radlon and El Rouge. This is quite a tricky corner. You can lose a lot of time if you don't use the optimum line, but we managed to navigate that pretty nicely, and we're over half a tenth up. Going into here, we're still not going to be as fast as him in the sector 1 though. We're going through here, being very aggressive, using the curb here, using the curb once again. You can see we're over a 10th up and really being aggressive, using all the curb on the exit as well. Over a 10th up, going to this downhill right-hander, being very aggressive. So I decided to just send it on this lap, and about 2 tenths up, going into the corner of No Name, a little bit wide on the entry, so we lost about half a tenth going through there, going through the very fast pull on through here, and we did that pretty nicely. Actually gained a little bit of time now, going to it as the curb starts. That's where we're braking into third gear for a little bit extra rotation, hooking the car here. Could have hooked it a little bit more though, so again we lost a little bit of time, turning in earlier than you think, went a little bit wide, so again still not perfect, so I'm losing a bit of time on this exit, which is going to hurt the momentum going down the straight. But we are just shy of 2 tenths up. Going to the bus stop chicane, I knew I had a good exit before, but upon the entry I was very cautious, so we're going to brake very late here. You can see not really gaining a little bit of time this time, but being very aggressive on the exit, and now we've actually gained even more time, and we've done a 42.474. And no, I was satisfied about it. I still think there is more time in there. I think there's probably a 1, maybe probably a 1 on an absolute perfect lap, but yeah, considering I haven't driven this car for a while, I was very happy with that indeed. But you can see we're still going to continuing because I've actually gone green again, and this is why I say just keep the rhythm going, because you'll find you'll just get into the roll. Going through into here, what's going to happen this time? We're still up, so still trying to make up some time once again coming through here, but we've actually lost a little bit of time on this exit now. Second gear, third gear, gaining a bit of time on the exit, going through into this corner. No, it was, yeah, still about 1/10 down or something like that to go through into here. Just trying to send it as much as I can, but we go out wide and we've invalidated it. And that is going to be it from me. Very good time. I was very, very happy with that, and it didn't take me as long as I thought as well. So we're gonna go back into the session, look at the setup that I actually used as well. So we've got about just under 2/10 advantage, and I think in a perfect lap a 1 is in there. So changing the wings, I used 1/4. Felt like I needed a bit more straight line speed, geometry. It's all real preference. The 1/4 on the suspension just for that rotation, 10-10 roll bar to make it very, very stiff to stop it from over rotating in the corners. Kept pretty much the same tire pressures, and the weight distribution is on 11. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much. Let me know what track combo you want me to do next. It'll probably be mostly classic cars at the moment until the glitch in the modern cars or just TT gets fixed in general. But thank you so much. Hope you have a good weekend, and I will catch you very soon. Peace.